Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got breaking news coming out from Yemen to share with you guys. So, last night, the Israeli Air Force carried out a massive operation launching waves of airstrikes across Yemen, targeting Yemen's critical infrastructure. We have reports of oil depots being hit, power stations being destroyed, and also major ports. I think all three major ports that are controlled by the Houthis were hit last night. Even reports of tugboats being destroyed as well. And these tugboats are used to reel in many of the cargo ships that come into Yemen to bring aid into their country. So, a massive amount of attacks last night. I've got several videos I can show you guys similar to this one here. I believe this is a video from one of the major power stations in the city of Sana'a, which is the capital of Yemen. And I believe this is the first time that Israel carried out a strike in the capital targeting a major power station. So apparently there was dozens of fighter jets that were used along with refueling aircraft as a major operation was carried out onto Yemen, just like you see here in this video, striking their critical infrastructure. So we're going to talk more about this today, and also a ballistic missile being fired from Yemen last night, just about an hour or two prior to these strikes being carried out. And this is the reason why Israel carried out these strikes to begin with, was in retaliation or response to multiple ballistic missiles that have been fired from Yemen recently. The Houthis have been attacking Israel, primarily central Israel, Tel Aviv, with ballistic missiles multiple times over the past several weeks. So we did hear, I think it was late last week or over the weekend, that Israel was preparing to carry out some airstrikes. So this does look like a planned operation. And it just happened to be right around the same time that the Houthis launched a missile into Israel last night. And apparently that missile was partially intercepted, according to the Israeli military, and the warhead fell and landed on a school. And I have some pictures to show you guys of damage there and shrapnel being scattered all over Israel last night. Even in Jerusalem, there was some shrapnel in that area as well from some of the fragments of the missile when it was shot down supposedly last night. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go over this information. I've got a lot of things to show you here today. Let's go ahead and hop on over here real quick to AP. It says Israeli airstrikes hit Yemen's rebel-held capital and port city after Houthi attack targets Israel. So there will be a little bit more information on here than what I normally show you guys, as there is a lot of good information talking about this strike last night that I want to show you. So this was a picture coming out from Yemen last night, showing what appears to be, looks like an oil depot or something, some sort of critical infrastructure that the Houthis were trying to put out as it was on fire last night. So it says here, a series of intense Israeli airstrikes shook Yemen's rebel-held capital and port city early Thursday and killed at least 9 people, officials said shortly after a Houthi missile targeted central Israel. Thursday's strikes risk further escalating conflict with the Iranian-backed Houthis, whose attacks on the Red Sea corridor have drastically impacted global shipping. The rebels have so far avoided the same level of intense military strikes that have targeted Palestinian militant group Hamas and Lebanon's Hezbollah, fellow members of Tehran's self-described axis of resistance. Israel's military said that it conducted 2 waves of strikes in a pre-planned operation that began early Thursday and involved 14 fighter jets. Military said the first wave of strikes targeted Houthi infrastructure at ports of Hodeidah, Salif, and the Ras Isa oil terminal on the Red Sea. Then in a second wave of strikes, military said its fighter jets targeted Houthi energy infrastructure in Sana'a. After Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Assad regime in Syria, the Houthis are almost the last remaining arm of Iran's axis of evil, said Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a statement released Thursday. They are learning that they will learn the hard way, that whoever harms Israel pays a very heavy price for it. So that is something that Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying a lot over the past months. Anybody who attacks Israel will learn the hard way and pay a very heavy price. And it looks like the Houthis are going to pay a heavy price due to these attacks last night, okay? It looks like they were very bad inside of Yemen. The Houthi-controlled satellite channel Al Masirah said that some of these strikes targeted power stations in the capital, posting videos of flames engulfing one structure as civil defense workers doused it in water, trying to extinguish the fire. The strikes on the 2 power plants will worsen the electricity crisis faced by Sana'a, where those who can afford it run gas generators or get power from private providers because of the city's long failing infrastructure. Approximately 1/4 of Sana'a, particularly shops, Stores and commercial facilities will face immediate and severe disruption, said Mohammed al-Bashar, a Yemen analyst. In a city already staggering under a profound economic crisis, 2025 is set to be exceptionally challenging. Okay, so we already know right now, just in Yemen alone, they have major energy problems going on already right now. Many people there, from what I've seen, go many hours of the day without electricity. So a lot of the people there are used to not having electricity, but this is going to make it even worse now that their power stations have been struck. The Al Masirah channel, citing its correspondent in the port city of Hodeidah, said that at least 7 people had been killed at Salif, while another 2 had been killed at the Ras Isa oil terminal. Others suffered wounds at the Hodeidah port as well, it said. So it looks like maybe some of the innocent people potentially working at some of these ports or the oil depots may have been harmed or killed in some of these attacks. An Israeli military statement offered no damage assessment. Rear Admiral Daniel Agari, an Israeli military spokesman, said the strikes hit energy and port infrastructure, which he alleged the rebels been using in ways that effectively contributed to their military action. I suggest the leaders of the Houthis to understand and remember, whoever raises a hand against the state of Israel, his hand will be cut off. Whoever harms us will be harmed sevenfold, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said. Rebel-held Hodeidah, about 145 kilometers, 90 miles southwest of Sana'a, has been key for food shipments into Yemen as its decade-long war has gone on. There's also long-standing suspicion that weapons from Iran have been transferred through the port. Okay, so there is more information on this article. It's a very long article. I don't want to go over the whole thing. Just wanted to give you guys the bulk of the information that talks about these strikes. But I will cite it down below in the description, as I always do for you guys, if you want to check out the remainder of that article. So now let's hop on over to X and let me show you guys some of the video footage that's coming out from Yemen. Open source intel reports breaking. Israel cripples all 3 Houthi ports. Israel completely paralyzed all 3 Houthi-controlled ports in Yemen during airstrikes. IDF targets Sana'a for the very first time. Dozens of fighter jets, along with refueling aircraft, hit targets up to 2,000 kilometers from Israel, according to Channel 12 News out of Israel. So 5-second video showing a major explosion over here, what looks to be potentially one of the ports. Not sure if this was an oil terminal that was hit, but a major explosion reported after an airstrike. Take a look at this. All right, so massive blaze over here in Yemen as something very critical was definitely hit over here. We could see that huge explosion there and all that fire. So pretty crazy video there. We got another one here also from open source intel again. The Houthis got a pounding from IDF last night. They don't have any ports left. So we got a video here that doesn't have any sound, but looks like potentially another port being hit here, or maybe this is another oil depot. I'm not really sure. It's hard to tell by the video, but judging by the look of that explosion, this could be an oil depot that was potentially hit. Now we know that the Hodeidah port was hit by Israel months back, so I'm not sure if maybe it got rebuilt or something like that, was struck again, because we know the port of Hodeidah was hit just last night as well, but looks like something very significant exploded right here also. So moving on to another update from open source intel again. Breaking, a wave of airstrikes in Yemen is continuing following the Houthi launch of a missile at Tel Aviv. Reportedly, power plants in Sana'a have been targeted, resulting in widespread power outages. So we got a picture to show you guys here of what looks like some major strikes here in the background. Also, probably some of the power plants inside of Sana'a that may have been hit. We know for sure at least one was hit, a primary and major power station. I think it was called Hezyaz or something like that. I'll show you guys that here in just a moment. But there's a picture, and then we got a video coming up as well. So let's take a look at this. All right, looks like the Israeli Air Force struck something else very significant over here, as we can see a massive blaze right there in the distance as well that somebody was able to capture inside of Yemen. So we're going to move on to another update now from Ozen Defender. The Hezyaz Central Power Plant in the Yemeni capital of Sana'a is fully engulfed in flames as the city remains in a blackout. So this is going to be very similar to the video that I showed you guys on the waiting screen when you came in, just 11 seconds. Take a look at this. All right, massive damage to this power plant we can see here. Looks like it may have been hit multiple times. We got at least 2 or 3 fires that have broke out at this facility, and this is going to put Yemen in the dark for a while and increase their electricity crisis that they're already undergoing for a very long time now. It's going to make it very difficult for the citizens in Yemen moving forward. So very sad to see that, at least for the citizens in Yemen. Ozen Defender, a massive fire scene burning at the Hejaz Central Power Plant in the western Yemeni capital of Sana'a, following a wave of Israeli airstrikes against the city. So here's a picture that somebody was able to capture as well from the fire at the Hejaz Central Power Plant. Okay, so look at that lighting up the entire skies. And you can see here there's really no lights or anything on, so probably due to that power station being destroyed and hit last night. So now we're going to move on to some of these reports about the ballistic missile that was fired into Israel last night, targeting central Israel near Tel Aviv. And I want to go over some of these details with you guys to talk about that too. So from Suppressed News, breaking: missile sirens activated in Tel Aviv and central Israel, most probably an attack from Yemen. So this was the alerts that were coming out from that area showing that this missile was targeting central Israel. Here you can see Tel Aviv, the name right here behind all these little icons. So this is where the missile was coming in at, and from what I understand, the sirens were activated due to the interception of this missile incoming. It was not apparently due to the missile that was actually dropping into the city. It was from the shrapnel and the interception that set off these sirens in central Israel. Okay, so we got a video to show you guys also from Suppressed News. Breaking: explosions reported in Tel Aviv following sirens. Initial reports indicate that ballistic missiles were fired from Yemen. So we know for sure at least one was, but I was hearing some reports there may have been more than one. So it's possible that multiples were fired. Maybe that's why also the sirens were being set off inside of central Israel is due to multiples of these being fired. But we know for sure one was supposedly partially intercepted by the air defense system in Israel, and the warhead apparently fell down on the ground and crashed into a school. We'll show you that here in just a minute, but take a look at this. All right, sorry if that was kind of loud there towards the beginning, guys, with that siren, but we could see something that was flying in the skies over here. Not sure if that was that ballistic missile that was coming in to Israel, maybe after it was shot down, or maybe this was another one that made an impact. We don't really know, but we could see something falling out of the skies over here as somebody was able to capture that to inside of Israel. Okay, moving on to another update from World Source News 24/7. Reports of shrapnel falling in Ramat Gan, Tel Aviv. Authorities are searching the area, for injured. There have been no reports of injuries at this moment. Car have been damaged from falling shrapnel. So we got 2 videos to show you. I think this first one does have sound. This second one does not, but we'll take a look at this first one here real quick. All right, so we can see lots of shrapnel all over the ground here now. Makes me wonder if maybe there was multiple missiles that were fired and there was probably heavy interceptions in the skies over Tel Aviv. As we can see, lots of shrapnel scattered everywhere here, and some people were even reporting shrapnel as far away from Tel Aviv as Jerusalem. Okay, so it's possible that maybe there was multiples, but we can see damage here to cars, some of the windows blown out. It's like that panel, that car there got destroyed. And we got one more video coming up, which I believe does not have any sound, but we can just see the emergency crews showing up in this area to also clean up and investigate, help out anybody that may have been injured after the debris was coming down from the skies from this interception. All right, also Formosan Defender, serious damage to a school in the suburbs of Tel Aviv, resulting from falling debris caused by the interception of long range ballistic missile launched by the Houthis in Yemen. Okay, so check this out, guys. A direct impact on this school in Tel Aviv. Okay, so major damage from this missile. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it actually did make a direct impact. But the Israelis are claiming they supposedly partially intercepted it. The warhead was not destroyed; it fell out of the sky and landed here. Okay, so we don't really know exactly what happened, but it could have been either case here. It could have been the missile directly striking, or the warhead just falling out of the sky, like they claimed. Okay, so moving on to another update from Mosin Defender. Israeli news outlet Channel 13 via Or Heller is now saying that the IDF strikes on cities in Yemen were planned because Israeli decision makers assessed that Iran was continuing to push the Houthis to continue to conduct strikes against Israel after the Lebanon ceasefire. The strikes are not a direct response to the recent interception of a Houthi long-range ballistic missile that just took place. So this was the statement that was coming out last night. That the Israelis were claiming that these strikes were pre-planned. This was not a response due to a recent ballistic missile launch last night. That this is something that was planned and in the works. And again, like I said, I did hear that report. It was either like late last week or sometime over the weekend that the Israelis were planning a major response onto Yemen, targeting the Houthis for these recent attacks. Okay, so one last thing I want to show you guys. It's a very long video. It's 8 minutes long, but we're not going to watch the whole thing. But this is the Hezyaz power station in Sana'a, still burning late into the day after it was struck last night. This is from Joe Truzman. The scene at the Hezyaz power station in Sana'a, Yemen this morning following Israeli airstrikes against the Houthis. So we'll just briefly check this out for a few seconds. Take a look at this. All right, so it looks like it was hit pretty bad. Like we said earlier, about 3 strikes is what it looked like earlier. That one right there is still burning, actually. You can see the flames right there near one of these containers. So yeah, 3 major strikes is what it looks like here on this power station. So pretty insane, guys. I was expecting Israel to do this very soon, as they've been repeatedly attacked by the Houthis. They've been taking attack after attack multiple times. I want to say there's been at least 5 or 6 ballistic missiles that were fired into Israel, maybe more by now, because I haven't really been covering the Israeli conflict too much. But they've been attacked quite a bit just over the last couple months, ever since their last strike on the port of Hodeidah. So it looks like another major message being sent to the Houthis in Yemen to let them know to stop attacking Israel, or this is how they're going to respond. And if you notice, this attack is much bigger than the last time. Okay, the last time they mainly just struck the port of Hodeidah, destroying a major oil depot over there. Now they've attacked multiple critical infrastructure inside of Yemen. So major response from the Israelis that I was expecting to happen sometime soon. But that's going to be it for today's update, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.